Atom, electron revolves around the nucleus along a path of radius 0.72 angstrom, making 9.4 into 10 raised to 18 revolutions per second. The equivalent current is, they are given the charge of electron as 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulombs. The four options are 1.2 amperes, 1.5 amperes, 1.4 amperes and 1.8 amperes. In this sum, the radius, this is a redundant data which is given and which would not be necessary for solution of this sum. The formula for current I is equal to Q upon T, that is charge per unit time. Over here in this sum, instead of time, they are given us the frequency, that is the rate at which the electron is revolving around the nucleus, which is equal to 9.4 into 10 raised to 18 revolutions per second. So we will be using this, which is a reciprocal of time. Also Q, therefore I is equal to 1.6 to 10 raised to minus 19 into 9.4 into 10 raised to 18. When you solve this, the answer which you get is 1.504 amperes, which is nothing but the option B. So option B is the correct answer. A wire of resistance 4 ohms is used to wind a coil of radius 7 centimeters. The wire has a diameter of 1.4 mm and the specific resistance of its material is 2 into 10 raised to minus 7 ohm meter. The number of turns in the coil is, with 4 options, 50, 40, 60 and 70. In this, the total length of the wire is needed to be found out first of all. The resistance of the entire length is given as 4 ohms. And this entire wire is coiled into a circle of radius 7 centimeters. So basically, we need to find out the circumference and into the number of coils. So circumference formula is nothing but 2 pi r, and therefore the total length for n number of coils would be 2 pi r into n. The formula for resistance is known as R equal to rho L upon A, where rho is the resistivity of the material, L is the length of the wire, whereas A is the area of cross section. So substituting these values, we get as 2 into 10 raised to minus 7. The length 2 pi, the R is in centimeters, so we need to convert it into standard minus 2 meters. The area of cross section can be found out, since the diameter is given as 1.4 mm, as pi r square, 1.4 into 10 raised to minus 3 square, since the diameter is in mm and we need to convert it into meters. On simplification of this, we get n as 70. Therefore, option D is the correct answer. Two copper wires of length L and 2L have radii R and 2R respectively. What is the ratio of their specific resistance? There are 4 options given: 1 is to 2, 2 is to 1, 1 is to 1 and 1 is to 3. Here we need to know that the data given here is all just as a redundant data. The concept that we need to remember is that specific resistance of a material is independent. It is independent of the dimensions and it only depends upon the material. So basically, whatever you change the dimensions into, the specific resistance of the material would not change, and hence the answer would be C. There would be no change in the specific resistance, hence initial specific resistance with L and 2L would be the same as the final specific resistance with 2L and 2R. Hence the answer is C. Two cells epsilon 1 and epsilon 2 connected in oppositions to each other as shown in the figure. The cell epsilon 1 of EMF 9 volt and internal resistance 3 ohms. The cell epsilon 2 is of EMF 7 volts and internal resistance 7 ohms. The potential difference between the points A and B is, in this sum we need to find the potential difference between these 2 points, and there are only 2 elements in the sum, cell number 1 and cell number 2. So even if we find potential difference across this cell, we get the same as potential difference across this cell. What given data is, potential difference across epsilon 1 is, the given data is that EMF of epsilon 1 is 9 volts and the internal resistance is 3 ohms, whereas for EMF of epsilon 2 is 7 volts and internal resistance is also 7 ohms. We need to find the current that is flowing through the circuit. I is nothing but 9 minus 7 upon R1 plus R2. Here it is 9 minus 7 since the cells are in the opposing configuration. So which is equal to 2 upon 10. That is 0.2 amperes. Now we need to find the potential difference across either of the batteries, and any one of them can be considered as the right solution. So let us consider potential difference across epsilon 1. This value has been obtained by using Kirchhoff's voltage loop. Since the current is flowing in the anti-clockwise direction and the potential is being increased over here, that's why there is a positive 9, that is the potential difference, the EMF across epsilon 1 and the current multiplied by the internal resistance of the cell. So which can be 8.4 volts is the answer, and option A. With increase in temperature, the conductivity of, there are 4 options. Let's look at the first option. With increase in temperature, the conductivity of metal increases and that of the semiconductor decreases. Obviously this is not true, since the increase in temperature would cause a decrease in the conductivity of metals. The second option, with increase in temperature, conductivity of semiconductor increases. This is correct, and that of metal decreases. This is also true. Let's look at the third option. In both metals and semiconductor increases. It definitely increases in semiconductors, but it's not so in case of metals, since conductivity decreases with increase in temperature. So option C is also not true. In both metals and semiconductors decreases. Well, the conductivity decreases in metals, but not true in case of semiconductor. So option D is also not incorrect. So the correct option is option B. Two 2 ohm resistances are connected in parallel in circuit X and in series in circuit Y. The batteries in 2 circuits are identical and have 0 internal resistance. Assume that the energy transferred to resistor A in circuit X within certain time is W. This energy transferred to resistor B in circuit Y in the same time will be, we got 4 options: 1 by 4 W, half times W, 2 W and 4 W. So in this sum, in circuit X, as you can see, the 2 resistances are in parallel to each other, and due to this the potential difference that would be applied across these two ends would be the same as the battery potential V. Hence we have a formula for power as V square upon R, and in this case it will be V square upon, for each resistance it is 2, so 2. For in circuit Y, both the resistances are in series, hence the potential difference across them would get divided, and since the value of internal resistance is equal, the potential difference gets divided as half into V by 2 and V by 2. Here the formula would be the formula for power would be V square upon 2, which can be written as V by 2 square, which is V square upon 8. That is nothing but, since V square upon 2 is W, so V square upon 4 into 2. This can be written as W. So our new power W dash is nothing but W by 4. That is option A. Option A is the right answer. An electric heater is connected to the voltage supply. After few seconds, current gets its steady state value. Then its initial current will be, there are 4 options: equal to its steady current, slightly higher than its steady current, slightly less than its steady current, and 0. Here what we need to know is that initially the heater is at a lower temperature, and hence the current flowing through it has less resistance. As and when the heater starts heating up, since there is an increase in temperature, resistance also starts increasing, and at a steady state the current becomes constant. So which means that initially the current should have been higher, since the resistance there was lower as compared to when the temperature got higher and the resistance also got higher. So the current would be low in the steady state. With this we can arrive at a conclusion that initially the current needs to be higher since the resistance is low, and in the steady state the current gets to a lower value since there is an increase in resistance. So the option B is the correct answer. Infinite ladder network of resistance is constructed with 1 ohm and 2 ohm resistances as shown in the figure. The 6 volts battery between A and B has negligible internal resistance. The equivalent resistance between points A and B is, we got 4 options: 1 ohm, 2 ohm, 3 ohm and 4 ohms. Since this is an infinite network, the equivalent circuit can be drawn as so the entire infinite series over here can be considered as a shunt of R equivalent, and the resistance between the points A and B that we need to be found out is R equivalent. Therefore, the value of R equivalent between the points A and B is nothing but this value of resistance 1, which is in series, and R equivalent and 2 ohm resistance, which are in parallel to each other. On solving this equation, we get it in a quadratic form as R equivalent square minus R equivalent minus 2 is equal to 0. Using the formula minus V plus or minus root of V square minus 4AC upon 2A to solve this quadratic equation, we get the value of R equivalent as half 1 plus or minus root of 1 plus 8. On simplifying further, we get the value as 2 ohms, which is option B. Option B is the correct answer. The equivalent resistance between A and B for the circuit shown in the figure is, we've got 4 options: 13.1 ohms, 15.1 ohms, 17.1 ohms and 19.1 ohms. In this figure, as we can see, the resistances 5 and 8 are in series with each other, and the combination of these two is in parallel with resistance 6. So this can be drawn as, and there is resistance of 5 ohms and there is resistance of 4 ohms. This is the equivalent circuit. To find out the equivalent resistance of this portion, we need to add 5 and 8, 13 in parallel with 6. So R equivalent is 1 by 13 plus 1 upon R equivalent, plus 1 by 6. So R equivalent turns out to be 78 by 90. Now these resistances of 4 ohm and 5 ohm are in series with this. So the final R is 78 by 90 plus 4 plus 5. And this can be simplified into getting the answer of 13.1 ohms. Therefore, option A is the correct answer. Equivalent resistance of the given network is, we got 4 options: 28 ohms, 18 ohms, 26 ohms and 25 ohms. Even though the network looks as if it is in parallel combination, we need to note that the wire is continuous without any joints in between, and hence it is actually a series combination. So what we need to simply do is add up all the resistances to find out the equivalent value, which is nothing but 18 ohms. Therefore, option B is the correct answer. Correct combination of 3 resistance 1 ohm, 2 ohm and 3 ohm to get equivalent resistance of 11 by 5 ohms is, we got 4 options. All 3 resistances are combined in parallel, all 3 are combined in series, 1 ohm and 2 ohm are in parallel and 3 is in series to both, 2 ohm and 3 ohm are combined in parallel and 1 ohm is in series to both. In order to solve this sum, we will try to figure out what is the resistance of each option. In the first option, since all 3 resistances are combined in parallel, the equivalent resistance is nothing but 1 upon 1 ohm, is 1 upon 2 ohm, is 1 upon 3 ohm. On solving this, we found out that R equivalent is nothing but 6 upon 11. So this is not the correct answer. For option B, since all 3 are combined in series, the equivalent resistance which we get would be 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is equal to 6 ohms. Since this also doesn't match the option of 11 by 5, it's not the correct answer. For option 3, 1 ohm and 2 ohm are in parallel. So, and there is a series with 3 ohm resistance. So the equivalent resistance would be 2 into 1 upon 2 plus 1 in series with 3 ohms. On solving this, we get a resistance of 11 by 3 ohms. This is also not the correct answer. For option D, 2 ohms and 3 ohms are in parallel and in series with 1 ohm. On solving this, R equivalent, we get it as 2 into 3 upon 2 plus 3 in series with 1 ohms. In solving this, we get the equivalent resistance as 11 by 5 ohms. Hence, option D is the correct answer. 5 equal resistances of 10 ohms are connected between the points A and B as shown in the figure. The resultant resistance is, we got 4 options: 10 ohms, 5 ohms, 15 ohms and 6 ohms. In order to solve this sum, we first need to simplify the given circuit. The circuit can be simplified as point A. Actually, if we see, all these arm, this arm and this arm are in parallel to each other. 10 ohms, 10 ohms. This point is directly connected to point B, and this point is directly connected to point A. So this is this arm, and this arm is also directly connected to point A in series and connected to point B. This is the simplified circuit. Now further simplification can be done with these two resistances in series. So the simplified circuit would further look like 20 ohms, 10 ohms and 20 ohms between the points A and B. This 20 ohm and this 20 ohm can be combined in parallel to find as an equivalent resistance of 10 ohms, and this 10 ohms is written as it is. Now these two 10 ohms are in parallel to each other, and hence the equivalent resistance would remain as 5 ohms. Hence option B is the correct answer. Which arrangement of 3 ohm resistors will give a total resistance of 7 ohms? The required resistance is 7 ohms. We will check each of the following options in order to find out what is the effective resistance. For the first option, all the 3 resistances are connected in series. Hence, the total resistance would be 3 plus 3 plus 3, which is equal to 9 and not equal to 7. So, that is not the correct answer. For the second option, since all the 3 resistances are connected in parallel, so 3 parallel to 3 would give 1/3 times 3. Since note that all the resistance are of equal value, in parallel combination the effective resistance gets divided by 1 by nth times the number of repetitions. Hence here the answer would be 1 ohm, which is not equal to 7 ohms. In the third option, 3 ohms is in series with 2 resistances of 3 ohms parallel to each other. Here this effective resistance would be 1.5 ohms in parallel with 3 ohm. So 3 plus 1.5 is 4.5, which is not equal to 7. In the option D, 3 ohms is in series with 3 parallel resistances of 3, 3 and 3. This combination and then is in series with 3 ohms again. This combination can be equivalent as 3 plus 1 by 3 times 3 as in this case, which is 1 ohm, and again in series with 3 ohm, which is nothing but 7 ohms and our required value. So option D is the correct answer. If n cells each of EMF epsilon and internal resistance R are connected in parallel, then the total EMF and internal resistance will be, we have 4 options. Option A, epsilon and R by n. Option B, epsilon and n times R. Option C, n times epsilon and R by n. And option D, n times epsilon and n times R. The thing we need to note here is that when cells are connected in parallel, the potential difference or the EMF across the ends would remain constant. It doesn't change for cells in parallel. Whereas in series it adds up, but for parallel it remains constant. Whereas resistances in parallel, if equal resistances are connected in parallel for n number of times, the equivalent resistance becomes nth time the initial resistance. Hence, from this we conclude that the effective EMF would be epsilon and the effective resistance would be R by n. This is similar to option A, hence option A is the correct answer. The battery of a trunk has an EMF of 24 volts. If the internal resistance of the battery is 0.8 ohms, what is the maximum current that can be drawn from the battery? We got 4 options: 30 amperes, 32 amperes, 33 amperes and 34 amperes. The thing we need to note is that since maximum amount of current is need to be drawn from the battery, the external resistance should be minimum. Hence we assume that the external resistance offered to the circuit is 0, and therefore only internal resistance of 0.8 amperes is what's resisting the circuit. Therefore current I is equal to EMF upon internal resistance, since external resistance is 0, that is 24 upon 0.8, 240 upon 8, 30, which is equal to 30 amperes. Therefore option A is the correct answer. Current of 6 amperes enters one corner P of an equilateral triangle PQR having 3 wires of resistances 2 ohms each and leaves by the corner R. Then the currents I1 and I2 are. Here we need to simplify the circuit a little in order for solving the sum. This 2 ohm and this 2 ohm are in series with each other and in parallel with this 2 ohms. So this 2 ohm and this 2 ohm can be combined, written as 4 ohms, 2 ohms, 2 ohms. This current is I1 and this current here is I2. Here a current flows of 6 amperes into the circuit and exits 6 amperes. Since there is no current loss anywhere, the amount of current entering would be that equal to leaving. This 6 ampere is divided into 2 parts, and as we know, current is inversely proportional to resistance, and the relation is I is equal to V upon R. Since these 2 points have equal potential difference, so current is inversely proportional to resistance, which means since there is more resistance in this arm and less resistance in this arm, more current would be flowing here. Exactly, there is twice the amount of resistance in here, so therefore the current flowing I1 would be half that of I2. So therefore I1 and I2 is in the ratio of 1:2 and also by Kirchhoff's junction law, 6 amperes is divided as I1 plus I2. Therefore I1 plus I2 is 6 and I1 upon I2 is half. When we solve this 2 equations, we get I1 is equal to 2 amperes and I2 is equal to 4 amperes, which is option A. Option A is the correct answer. The potential difference between A and B as shown in the figure is, we have 4 options: 1 volt, 2 volts, 3 volts and 4 volts. First of all, we will try to figure out what is the current flowing in each arm. In order to do that, we need to find out the resistance of each arm. In the top arm CAD, the equivalent resistance is 2 plus 3, which is equal to 5 ohms. In the lower arm, the resistance again is 3 plus 2, which is equal to 5 ohms. Since there is equal amount of resistance in both the arms, the current of 2 ohms is 2 amperes is split equally in both the arms as 1 amperes and 1 amperes each. Therefore I1 and I2 are equal, which is equal to 1 amperes. In order to find out the potential at point A, we need to find the potential between the points C and A is equal to the resistance into V is equal to I into R, that is 2 volts. Similarly, for the point B, we need to find out potential between C and B. V is equal to IR, so I2, which is nothing but 1 ampere, and 3 ohms, which is equal to 3 volts. Therefore, potential difference between points A and B is 3 volts minus 2 volts, which is equal to 1 volt. Hence, option A is the correct answer. A 7 volt battery with internal resistance of 3 ohms and a 3 volt battery with internal resistance 1 ohm are connected to a 10 ohm resistor as shown in the figure. The current in the 10 ohm resistor is, there are 4 options: 0.27 amperes, 0.31 amperes, 0.031 amperes and 0.53 amperes. For solving this sum, we will draw the circuit again. This is 7 volts. This is the internal resistance of the battery, 2 ohms, 10 ohms, 3 volts and internal resistance 1 ohm. Let a current I flow through this arm and a current of I1 flow through this arm. Therefore, current of I minus I1 will be flowing through this loop. Using Kirchhoff's voltage law and assuming these arrows to be the direction of tracing, we find out the equations for the first loop. Therefore, the equations can be written as 7 minus 10 times I1 minus 2 I1 I is equal to 0. For the second loop, the equations can be written as 10 times, we assume that this is at a higher potential than this, and hence in this anti-clockwise direction the potential is increasing for the second loop. Therefore, we would get a positive value 10 into I1 plus 3 minus I minus I1 into 1 ohms is equal to 0. This is the second equation. So this can be written 10 I1 plus 3 minus I plus I1 is equal to 0. 3 plus 11 I1 is equal to I. Substituting the value of I in equation 1, we get as 7 minus 10 I1 minus 2 times 3 plus 11 I1 is equal to 0. 7 minus 10 I1 minus 6 minus 22 I1 is equal to 0. Therefore, solving for value of I1, we get it as 1 upon 32, which is 0.31 amperes. That is nothing but option B. Therefore, option B is our right answer. Please note that there was a calculation error. 1 divided by 32 is 0.031 amperes, and this is option C. Therefore, option C is the correct answer, not option B. 4 resistors are connected as shown in the figure. A 6 volts battery of negligible internal resistance is connected across terminals A and C. The potential difference across terminals B and D will be, there are 4 options, 0, 1.5, 2 and 3 volts. In order to solve this sum, we will simplify this circuit in the following manner. The point A, if you notice, point D and this point C has a battery connected 6 volts. So if you notice, the circuit has been simplified into a Wheatstone's bridge of 5 ohms, 15 ohms, 30 ohms and 10 ohms. Now we check for the condition. We note that 5 upon 15 is nothing but is equal to 10 upon 30. Hence we find out that the bridge is balanced. Since the bridge is balanced, according to the Kirchhoff's law, according to Wheatstone's condition of bridge balancing, there would be no current flowing through this arm. and since there would be no current flowing through this arm, which means the point B and D would be equipotential. Hence the potential difference between them would be 0. Hence option A is the correct answer. In the adjacent figure, bridge is balanced. The current flowing through the 2 ohm resistance is given as, we have got 4 options: 10 by 7 amperes, 11 by 7 amperes, 13 by 7 amperes and 8 by 7 amperes. Since the question states that the bridge is balanced, no current is flowing through the arm QS through the galvanometer. Hence, the current of 2 amperes is split into 2 parts, one through arm PQR and the other through arm PSR. Let current flowing through the arm, the current of 2 amperes is split into 2 arms PQR and PSR. The current flowing, let the current flowing through the arm PQR be I. Therefore, the current flowing through the arm PSR would be 2 minus I. And since the potential difference across the points P and R is this, since the potential difference across both the arms would be the same, therefore we can equate the potential differences across both the arms as I times 4 plus 2 is equal to I times 2 minus I times 10 plus 5. Therefore, solving this sum, we get I is equal to 30 by 21, that is 10 by 7 amperes. Hence option A is the correct answer. In a Wheatstone's network, P is equal to 2 ohms, Q is equal to 2 ohms, R is equal to 2 ohms and S is equal to 3 ohms. The resistance with which S should be shunted in order that the bridge may be balanced is 1 ohm, 2 ohm, 4 ohms and 6 ohms. Let us draw a Wheatstone's network bridge. P, Q, R and S. Let S be shunted with a value of X ohms. Initially, without the shunt, the balancing condition would be P by Q is equal to R by S. And after the shunt, the balancing condition would be P by Q is equal to R by S dash. Note that S dash is along with the shunt. Initially, substituting the values, 2.2 is equal to R as 2 and S as 3, and later the when shunted, the value of S dash is equal to 2 upon S dash. Therefore, since the ratio has to be constant, the value of S dash should turn out to be 2. The value of S dash can be found out for parallel combination of these resistances as 1 upon S plus 1 upon X. The value of S is 3. Therefore, 1 upon 3 plus 1 upon X, 1 upon S dash. Therefore, 1 by S dash. S dash, that is 2, is equal to 1 upon 3 plus 1 by X. Solving for X, we get the value of X as 6 ohms, which is option D. Wire connected in the left gap of a meter bridge balances a 10 ohm resistance in the right gap to a point which divides the bridge wire in the ratio 3:2. If the length of the wire is 1 meter, the length of 1 ohm wire is, we have 4 options: 0.057, 0.067, 0.37 and 0.134 meters. Let us draw Wheatstone's meter bridge. This is the value R This is the 10 ohm resistance, and this is a meter wire which is divided in the ratio 3:2 for balancing point. According to the meter bridge formula, R by S when in balancing condition is nothing but is equal to 3 by 2. Therefore, the value of R is 3 by 2 times S, which is 3 upon 2 into 10, which is 15 ohms. The value of R is 15 ohms. Since the value of R is 15 ohms and the length of this wire R is 1 meter, therefore the length of the ohm wire will be 1 by 15, which is equal to 0.067 meters, and that is equal to option B. Therefore, option B is the correct answer. A potentiometer wire of length 200 centimeters has a resistance of 20 ohms. It is connected in series with a resistance of 10 ohms and an accumulator of EMF 6 volts having negligible internal resistance. A source of 2.4 volts is balanced against a length L of the potentiometer wire. The value of L is, in this question, this cell of 2.4 volts is balanced on the length L. So basically what we need to find out is the length of the wire which has a potential equal to 2.4 volts. For doing that, we first will find the potential gradient of the wire. Before find that, first of all, let us find out the current that is flowing through the circuit. So current flowing through the wire AB is equal to 6 upon 20, which is the resistance of the wire AB, plus 10, which is the resistance of the cell. The resistance in the series, which is equal to 0.2 amperes. 0.2 amperes flows through the wire AB. Now let us find out the potential difference across the wire AB. VAB is equal to 0.2 into 20, which is equal to 4 volts. There is a potential difference of 4 volts across the wire AB, and the cell of 2.4 volts is balanced on this wire at a certain distance L. Let us find out the potential gradient of the wire AB. Potential gradient is 4 divided by 0.2 meters. That is equal to, which is also can be written as 4 divided by 200 centimeters. It is 0.02 volts per centimeter, since we need to find the answer in centimeters. Therefore, this potential gradient is used to balance the cell of 2.4 volts. Therefore, 2.4 volts is balanced by a potential of 0.02 up to a length of L. Therefore, L is equal to 2.4 divided by 0.02, which is equal to 120 centimeters. 120 is the option number B. Hence, option B is the right answer. 3 volt potentiometer used for determination of internal resistance of a 2.4 volt cell. The balance point of the cell in the open circuit is 75.8 centimeters. When a resistor of 10.2 ohms is used in the external circuit of the cell, the balance point shifts to 68.3 centimeter length of the potentiometer wire. The internal resistance of the cell is, there are 4 options given: 2.5 ohm, 2.25 ohms, 1.12 ohms and 3.2 ohms. The standard formula for finding out the internal resistance of the cell is R is equal to the external resistance, that is 10.2 ohms, times the initial balance length, the final balance length, minus 1. Substituting these values, we get as 10.2 times 75.8 upon 68.3 minus 1. On solving this sum, we get 1.12 ohms. which is nothing but option C. Therefore, option C is the right answer. AB is a wire of potentiometer. With the increase in the value of resistance R, the shift in the balance point J will be, there are 4 options, towards B, towards A, remains constant, and the last option, first towards B, then back towards A. This value R is a rheostat which is used in the potentiometer experiments. The rheostat is necessary to change the potential gradient between the points A and B. Now when the value of the rheostat is increased, the potential gradient across the wire AB decreases, and if the value of R is increased and the potential gradient has decreased, so in order for balancing a particular value of the external EMF, a longer length of the wire would be needed, which means that the point J would keep shifting towards the point B. Hence, what we conclude from here is that an increase in the resistance R would increase the length of balancing wire J towards B for a balanced condition. Hence, the option is A, towards B. Batteries of EMF epsilon 1 and epsilon 2. Epsilon 2 being greater than epsilon 1, and internal resistances R1 and R2 respectively are connected in parallel as shown in the figure. As you can see here, since these two EMFs are connected in parallel, ideally what would happen is that since when potential differences or EMFs are connected in parallel, it remains constant across the ends. However, since there are resistance also which are in parallel, the equivalent epsilon would not increase beyond, but also would not be lesser than the two of them. So epsilon equivalent would lie between these two values of epsilon 1 and epsilon 2. Hence, epsilon 1 would be smaller than epsilon equivalent, which is smaller than epsilon 2. And this is option A. Hence, option A is the correct answer. A resistance R is to be measured using a meter bridge. A student chooses the standard resistance S to be 100 ohms. He finds the null point at L1, which is equal to 2.9 centimeters. He is told to attempt to improve the accuracy. Which of the following is a useful way? Now, in order to solve this, let us look at the bridge balancing condition. R upon S is equal to L upon 100 minus L. Therefore, R is equal to S times L upon 100 minus L, which is equal to 100 into 2.9 upon 100 minus 2.9. This you get an approximate value of 3 ohms. In Wheatstone's meter bridge, in order to increase the accuracy, the values in the left and the right gap, that is R and S, should almost be equal to each other, or should be near about the same value, and hence in order to increase the accuracy, one should choose the value of S around 3, and hence the option is C. The student should change the value of S to 3 ohms and repeat the experiment in order to increase the accuracy. Two cells of EMFs approximately 5 volts and 10 volts are to be accurately compared using a potentiometer wire of length 400 centimeters. There are 4 options given. First option, the battery that runs the potentiometer should have a voltage of 8 volts. This is not true, because if the battery that runs the potentiometer has a voltage less than either of the comparing voltages, it wouldn't really be driving the potentiometer, and the answers, the calculations or the readings would not be accurate. The second option, the battery of the potentiometer can have a voltage of 15 volts and R is adjusted so that the potential drop across the wires slightly exceeds 10 volts. This option seems quite correct since the driving potential is greater than individual potentials of the batteries to be compared, and also the potential drop across the entire length of the wire is greater than both the potentials, and hence this seems correct. Let's look at the third option. The first portion of 50 centimeter wire itself should have a potential drop of 10 volts. The wire is a length of 200 centimeters, and if the first 50 centimeters itself has a potential drop of 10 volts, these two cells would be balanced within this first 50 centimeters length, and hence we wouldn't get an accurate result in this case. So this is not preferable choice. The option D says potentiometer is usually used for comparing resistances and not voltages. Potentiometer can also be used for comparing voltages, and hence this option is not correct. So option B is the right answer. A metal rod of length 10 cm and a rectangular cross section of 1 cm by half cm is connected to a battery across the opposite faces. The resistance will be, there are 4 options: maximum when the battery is connected across 1 cm cross half cm faces, B, maximum when the battery is connected across 10 cm cross 1 cm faces, maximum when the battery is connected across 10 cm cross half cm faces, and the last option same irrespective of the 3 faces. We need to note that the resistance of a conductor R is equal to rho L by A. From this we understand that the resistance is maximum when the length is maximum and when the area of cross section is minimum. Among the following 4 options, the option A has the battery connected across the faces of 1 cm cross half centimeter area of cross section, and the length is 10 centimeters. In the other 3 options, the battery in option B is the battery is connected across the cross section of 10 cm cross 1 cm, which is greater than the 1 cm cross half centimeter. Similarly, in option C, the battery is connected across 10 cm cross half centimeter, which is again greater than 1 cm cross half centimeter. Hence, the resistance will be maximum when the battery is connected across the faces of 1 cm to half centimeter. Hence, option A is the correct answer.